Okay, there's a couple slightly advanced things I want to show you in Final Cut Pro. So we're going to go back to our lyric project. So hopefully by now you've gotten all the pictures of your song together and they're all in here, and you've achieved the first mission, which is to make the timing suit the images. However, that's just completing the task, which gives you basically a C. You drag the pictures in, you got them to time right. Now you really want to make this an artistic piece, an A. So these tips are going to show you how to do that. Something you can do to really make your slideshow look professional, or the first thing you can do, is select your pictures that have these big black bars on the side and crop them. The way I did that was I went over here and I went to the crop. Now I could change the size of it. This is for the word we, by the way. So the only really important thing for this image is this right here, them holding hands, because that shows that they're with each other. So I could go like that, for example. Now, unfortunately, that makes it really small, but when I press crop and it plays this image, you can see that it blows it up to full size. Another thing that you can do to make it even better is use what's called the Ken Burns effect, which you probably know from iMovie. If you click it, it'll give you a starting point and an ending point. So being that this specific one is about the hands, I might zoom in on my hands a little bit and otherwise start out here. So it still does not have black bars, and it's going to have a little bit of movement in it. Now this word happens to go by really fast, so I don't need a lot of movement, but let me just show you what this looks like. Okay, so that's it. You get to see like that kind of extend. Now if I make this smaller, because it's obviously going to be short, it's going to have one word on it, you can see that it goes faster. But that's how you can use the cropping effect to make this feel like an actual movie. Whenever there's black bars on the side of the screen or the bottom of the screen, or there's no movement for even more than a second, you kind of get that feeling that it's not a movie anymore. And to make something better than a slideshow, which is what these really are to begin with, we want to add movement. Now you don't have to do that on every single frame, but you do want to do it often enough that it feels like things are moving along with your lyrics. So especially if there's a period of time where we're looking at the same image for more than a second or so. Still, if you were to have the time to do it to every single one, it definitely would improve your project. I recommend doing it here and there at first, and then the more time you have, the more you can do. But this way they're not all in the beginning or all in the end, because a change like that is going to jar the viewer. I can't forget the time or place where we just met, or we just met. So I wanted to put these two together because I don't have an or between them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one. I just put double clicking, then put the cursor here, and I'm going to select this one so that I can crop it. I'm going to transform it first, actually. So if I transform it, I can make it so that it's smaller and goes over here. Maybe I want to do this. There you go. And then I'm going to put place just over it so that when I see them both, I could transform this one a little bit. Let's see. I'm going to actually transform this one bigger. But I'm also going to crop it. So when I crop it, you can see that I'm literally, let me move it to a place where we could see it first with transform. And then with crop, I can drag this in and only show the part of my project that I really wanted to show, or the part of this picture. I need to use the transform to move it because at this point, crop will only crop. So transform to move, you can see that I'm switch back and forth a little bit. There you go. Now if I wanted to crop it anymore, I could by just going back to crop, but this should be alright. Alright, so now I'm showing time or place. It's either this or it's this. So I want this to last as long as that whole lyric does. So now when it says time or place, it'll show the time first and then a tiny bit of gap, and then it shows place at the same time, showing both these slides together. I also did that for this part of it right here, which is the can't. Okay, the way I did it here though is a little bit different. This is called a PNG image. It means that it's clear where it shows black here. So I could push this above something else and it's going to show me both of those images simultaneously, and it's showing me through this to that. Okay, so it's kind of like a JPEG except it has clear areas. Okay, I know that this might be a PNG image, but it is not clear because this area is represented as white here. So this is representing clear. So I know that if I put this can here, well, first I'd have to drag it into my folder, so let me just do that. And then go into my folder and get it. Let's see, it's the CodeCam right here. And I put it over another picture. For example, this where this time. I'm not doing this, I'm just showing this as an example. I'm not going to keep this. Then I can transform that to any shape that I want, and it could be in the same picture or showing at the same time. Okay, so here's what it would look like if I played this first and then added the CodeCam. Alright, so that's the use of a PNG image. Anything that's shown up as black here represents clear on the actual picture. Unless there's black in the picture, of course. I'm also going to show you another way to make those, but that's going to be available on a separate video, which I think is going to be called BOLGER JPEG to PNG. So if you want to look into that, you could. I'm going to go through the rest of this with you staying in Final Cut. The other things I want to show you are transitions, which is this button here. And you can see that a bunch of transitions will come up, and you can just grab them and put them between frames. And I want to show you the difference. So the first one, I'm not going to have anything happen to. In the first one, you'll see what's called a hard cut. Okay, so it just goes from one to the other. In the second, you're going to see the difference now, hopefully, with what's called a cross-dissolve fade or transition. So you saw that that was like, I mean, it played over a quarter of a second, but you saw that it was like a fade in and fade out. So I want you to use these, and I want you to experiment with them. There's a lot here, and the only way that you're going to figure out what happens when you do it, or if you actually experiment with them in your project. Try to use these transitions between frames. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to show you is how to add a little text bar spot like this. Let me turn off my mute because I'd rather you just focus on what's happening. All right, so you could see that basically I have a picture here. So I'm going to show you how I set that up. Basically, I'm going to do it over here though, just the bow. All right, and then I'm going to go over to my text button here. I'm going to click crop. I'm going to go to my text button here and find some simple text like boogie lights. This is what I used on the other one. So I just put it here. If this were shorter, then I would make this match it by doing that. And then the words, I'm just going to click that so I can type in my own words. So any part of the song where there's just like music and there's no singing is a good place to like say the band and the name or show pictures of the band. And this allows you to add text to that if you want to, or certainly at the title you'd want to do that. So this is the Beatles, and the name of the song is I've Just Seen a Face. All right, and that's how you do it. So when I play it through, it goes like this. Now obviously in mine I don't want that there, but now you know how to do it, and knowing is half the battle. Also, just so you know, when you click the text button and you bring in text, you'll see that a bunch of things come up here. If you scroll down, you can add outlines and stuff like that by just clicking the outline button, clicking show, and deciding like what color you want it to be and how wide you want it to be. So you can see that you can mess with those functions over there of your text. And that's it.
I try to be as quiet as I can.
You're good.
Oh, and look, I didn't do like thingy the other layer because I don't need it. Because I want to print this picture out. Because